One of the coolest things about basketball is that you'll always have an opportunity. It may not feel like it's ever going to come around, but at some point, you will have that chance. And the ones who really make the most of it, the ones who are really underrated and finally are able to show themselves, are the ones who prepare themselves for that, not only with their skills, but psychologically. Because like I said, there are so many success stories in basketball. Players who went from underrated to now finally getting the respect they deserve. The undrafted players on the Heat, Jimmy's story from going from almost nothing to an NBA superstar. Jokic, Steph Curry, Giannis, the list really goes on here. And this is just talking about the top of the top. I'm not even getting into all the college players, the high school players, the international pros who eventually show themselves and take advantage of that moment. But again, this takes developing psychological skills. And trust me, developing the things that we're going to talk about in this video is way more important than any move you'll ever learn. So here's how you can finally get the respect you deserve as an underrated hooper. So number one is just having an unwavering level of confidence. No matter what happens in the game, no matter what you get told, no matter what opportunities you miss out on, when you do get that moment, you have to exude that confidence. Every shot you take, every movement you make, players, coaches, fans, they should all look at you and be able to tell that you're confident. And I know it's easier said than done. I'm telling you this, you're like, well, how do I improve my confidence? And a lot of it comes down to these other things that we'll talk about, so stick around for those. But I truly believe if you continuously carry yourself with confidence through difficulty, through tough times, you're going to play better, you're going to work through slumps better, and again, you're going to be more prepared for that moment. Number two is just taking care of the little things and doing what other players won't do. And I think this may be the most important one. Everyone's first thought is, all right, I'm an underrated player, I got to go out there, put the world on notice and score 30 points. When in reality, most of the times you're going to have a shorter leash. You're not going to be able to do these things that the top players are able to do. So you have to hang your hat on the defensive side of things, stopping the best player on the other team, or showing your effort on that side, taking care of the ball, right? If you're turning the ball over a few times, that leash is going to be so short that you're not going to get an opportunity. Making the right play, not the spectacular one. Getting to easy shots rather than, again, hitting that tough shot that you dream of making. I know this is a tough mindset to have sometimes because, again, you feel like you have to take extraordinary measures to show yourself off. But in reality, again, if you do these little things that other players won't do, you start to develop some momentum, you start to get a little bit more time and a little bit more time, and then you're able to start scoring. And then you're able to take some of these shots that other players that get a little bit more respect take, because again, you have a longer leash now because you're doing all the other things that these players aren't doing. Number three is the ability to bounce back. Basketball is an inherent game of failure. It's gonna happen, you're gonna miss shots, you're gonna turn it over, you're gonna get scored on, you're gonna lose games, you're gonna have a bad game yourself. But as an underrated player, being able to be persistent and bounce back from these moments is way more important than some of those players who are quote unquote at the top already, because you'll only have so many moments. If you get in the game one time, you don't have the best showing, you sulk about it, you get down, you don't really bounce back, you don't continue to put that work in, and then you get that second opportunity and you let that last one affect you, you're done for. You may never get that opportunity again. But if you get that first opportunity, it doesn't go well, some things just happen, but you stay persistent, you're able to bounce back and get straight back into that and actually play well that next time, now you look even better because you had a bad showing, and that second opportunity, very well could be your last opportunity, you came back and you showed out with your back against the wall. If you look at Duncan Robinson in these Eastern Conference Finals, he missed two wide open shots. The entire world was talking shit about him. Of course, Duncan Robinson's making $90 million, so it's a little bit different. But you see that he came back the next game, actually played a really good game with his back against the wall and contributed to a huge win. So of course it's a little bit different of an example, but this is the persistence that has turned Duncan Robinson from that D3 hooper into now a $90 million NBA player. It's not a one-time thing. These are properties or qualities or psychological skills that these players have to exhibit over and over and over again. Number four, when things do start to go well, you have to continue to think about that motivation that got you there. Again, if all these things go right, you're persistent with it, things are going to start to go well. You're going to start to make shots. You're going to start to get a little bit bigger of a role. What we can't do is lose that fire, that chip on that shoulder. So continue to think back to when you did feel like you were underrated. Continue to recall things that people said to you. Memories of how you felt when you were at that position. This is going to keep you on your game for longer. It's going to keep that level of fire and motivation high. And again, create more longevity rather than just being kind of a one-game wonder. And then lastly, and super important here, is patience. You can't expect all of this to happen in one single showing or one single day. Of course, you get your Linsanity moments or other times where a player comes out and absolutely kills and it changes their entire life. But most of the time, this is a super gradual process. You're inching up little by little, one game after another. The process doesn't look like this or even like this with kind of a smaller slope, but it's always up and down and up and down. But as long as you're starting off here and you're eventually ending up here, that's really all that matters. So expect this to be a long process. Expect it to be difficult for you. Whether you feel like it's fair or not, it doesn't matter, because this is the situation that you were dealt, and you only have one option, which is to work through this, to develop these psychological skills, and eventually get to the point where, again, you don't feel disrespected anymore. So hopefully this helps. Again, I truly think these psychological skills are probably even more important than working on your shooting and working on your ball handling, up to a certain point at least, because these things can take every single skill, every single tool that you have to a brand new level. And if you start to develop these, which again is tough but very doable, it's gonna make you a brand new player. As always, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at By Any Means Basketball. Check out all of our virtual academy programs, which I'll put in the description, and continue to stay tuned.